Three, two, one. Hello, everybody. Welcome along to the Mindful Leadership Podcast with my co-host and dear friend, Natasha Rocha. And
Hello.
today we have special guest, Suzi Burns. Hello, Suzi and Natasha.
Hello. Good
Hello.
morning.
Thank you so much for coming along. We're excited to hear more about Suzi and her experiences and offerings. So it's my turn to do Suzi's bio. So thank you for sending that on.
Pleasure.
So I'll start by saying that Suzi is a certified advanced Holden Q. I can't even say the word Qi Gong teacher. She is also a registered meditation teacher with the British School of Meditation and a graduate of David J's, is it?
David G. Yeah.
David G.
Yeah.
Meditation Teacher Academy. Suzi is passionate about sharing her lived and academic experience to help others. And Suzi worked in the financial services industry before retraining in public health, where she devised behavior change campaigns. Now she brings together a wealth of experience with her Qi Gong and meditation classes to keep these ancient practices highly relevant for modern life. Love that. Qi Gong turns stress into vitality through slow, flowing, mindful movement. And Qigong is wonderful to reduce stress, improve sleep, balance hormones, stabilize weight, and boost immune function. Suzi offers a range of classes from group to one-to-one formats for workplace wellness initiatives and advancing specific concerns such as menopause. And Qigong and meditation improves Suzi's life and health, and she truly enjoys sharing these benefits with others. Welcome, Suzi.
Thank you. I can't believe I wrote that.
I know, it was brilliant.
It sounds amazing.
And I love, it's almost like you wrote it with this like beautiful segue at the end, where you said how Qigong and meditation have improved your life and health. And I'd love to start there if you could share a bit more about your journey.
And that's the whole reason I'm doing what I'm doing, is that I did get into burnout. I was diagnosed at the age of 29 with adrenal burnout, zero adrenal function at the age of 29. And I was running every day. I used to get up, go to the gym, run 10K every morning, go to work 12 hours, and then come home. Home was quite stressful, a lot going on in my private life. And you think when you're in your 20s, or I thought when I was in my 20s, I can handle this, I could do this. But I obviously couldn't. So I started changing. I started changing my exercise routine, first of all. I started doing yoga, but was doing Ashtanga yoga because that was the most cardio and hardcore and impactful type of yoga I could find. Without really listening to the message that I was being sent. And then I was a bit of a crisis meditator. So I would meditate when things were bad, and then when things got good, I would stop meditating because I don't need to meditate anymore. And then things would go bad again, and then I'd start meditating again. So through work. So when I retrained, I left financial services. That was just a brutal environment, and really, really crazy work hours and a very pressurized work environment. And my husband and I moved to the States, and I retrained in public health. I went and got my second master's. My first master's is in international human rights law and feminist legal theory. And then we went to the States, went to Atlanta, and I went to Emory University, and I got my master's in public health and specializing in health education and the health of sexual minorities. So that was my passion point, and that was really where I did all my research. And then when I was working in the States, I worked for a company that devised behavior change campaigns, and predominantly for the US federal government, but for large NGOs. And I led all the pro bono work for our office as well. Through that, I was running the arthritis account for the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. And I was looking for different ways of moving the body that would help people with osteoarthritis. And that's where I came across Qigong, and I came across Lee Holden. Lee Holden used to be on PBS in the States. And I just was kind of transfixed by him and his work, and how I didn't even know what Qigong was. And I started doing some of the moves, and I thought, oh gosh, this is amazing. So I was doing sort of Qigong and yoga and mixing that up. And then my dad died, and I didn't cope very well with that bereavement, and I was challenged. I was seeing an Ayurvedic doctor at the time. I wasn't seeing a regular GP, and the Ayurvedic doctor challenged me, and he knew what he was doing, because he knew if anyone was challenging me, I would accept the challenge and try and rise to the challenge. And he said, oh, I think you need to really start meditating. And I was like, don't give me something else to do. Like, my to-do list is already packed from the minute I wake up to the minute I go to bed. Do not give me something else to do. So he challenged me, and of course I had to accept that challenge. And he challenged me to meditate for 5 minutes in the morning and 5 minutes when I got home from work. And he said, very cleverly, speaking my language, he said, if you don't have 10 minutes a day, then, you know, your time management skills are just way off. Like, if you can't carve out 10 minutes each day to meditate, then there's something seriously wrong. And then I was just like, what? You can't talk to me like that. You can't tell me my time management skills are off. How dare you? I'm running multi-million-dollar campaigns. I can manage my time. And of course, I accepted the challenge, because I could not accept that challenge. So I started meditating. And so I started meditating every day, just set my timer for 5 minutes, would sit, sometimes sit comfortably, many times uncomfortably, but I would do it. And that's when I discovered David G. So David G used to work for Deepak Chopra. David G was Deepak Chopra's chief operating officer, and he set up the sort of meditation challenges, basically, that Deepak Chopra does. And David G, when he went out on his own and became his own meditation teacher, meditation school, he would do these 21-day, 40-day challenges. And again, you're starting to learn a bit more about my personality. And the word challenge, I'm like, oh, I can do that. Here's the challenge, I can do it. So there was a 21-day meditation challenge where you would listen to a David G meditation for, they were around about 20 minutes. And that was a big sort of jump up from the 5 minutes that I had been doing. But I thought, you know, it's 21 days. What's the worst that can happen? And so I've been a convert to the school of David G ever since. I'm a David G certified teacher, and I've gone on a number of retreats and events with David G. You know, he's just a brilliant meditation teacher. And so I started meditating every day myself without, you know, it's kind of like getting a shower in the morning. You meditate, you don't go on. David G has this thing, RPM. So you rise, you pee, and then you meditate. So that's your first thing you do in the morning. And so I've been doing that ever since my dad has been gone 11 years now. So I've been religiously, with a small r, meditating every day, twice a day, since then. And yeah, I was enjoying my yoga, enjoying my Qigong, loved how Qigong made me feel, way better than yoga. I'm not dissing yoga in any way, shape or form. Yoga is amazing, and I've gone on yoga retreats and spent a lot of time doing yoga, but Qigong just made me feel so much better, really different. The mind-body connection for me is the big thing about Qigong that I didn't really ever get. And that just could have been people I was working with in the yoga space. But the mind-body connection for me, in the way that Lee Holden discusses the mind-body connection and talks about how important that mind-body connection is. So Qigong is effectively meditation in motion, because you're moving while you're mindful, you're moving while you're focusing in on your breath, you're moving while you're connecting, particularly with an organ, or you've got some sort of visualization, or you've got some color associated with an organ. That to me was just a real game changer. And I was sold. I was a convert. So yes, so we came back from the States, came back to Edinburgh. We had been living in Edinburgh, came back to Edinburgh, and I worked for NHS Lothian for a couple of years, and then I decided to leave, and I set up my own business, got qualified, did David G's meditation teacher training. I also trained through the British School of Meditation, because I know lots of people, they're probably like, David who's he? Whereas the British School of Meditation, most people have heard of, or they can Google that easily. So I got both teacher training certifications, and they're both very, very, very different ways of teaching meditation and very different perspectives on meditation. The British School of Meditation is quite secular and stress focused, and they're both trying to bring meditation into everyone's life, obviously, but trying to keep things nice and simple. David G is where I love. It's the full out woo-woo. We're talking mantras and chanting and crystals and connecting to the universe and reading the Bhagavad Gita 20 times backwards and forwards, inside out. So I feel I've got quite a broad spectrum of different types of meditation that I bring to my classes. And so it's not just one school of meditation, it's not just one type of meditation that I offer in my classes. And then I got my Tier 1 Holden Qigong teacher certification. And then this year in August, I was in Santa Cruz with Lee Holden and an in-person training program. And by the end of that training program, that was my advanced teacher training certification completed. And I think I'm the only advanced Holden Qigong teacher in Scotland, and I think there's only a couple of us in the UK. So I am really very passionate about Qigong, and I loved my week in Santa Cruz with Lee Holden. We'd practice on the beach every morning and then do lectures on Qigong and Q&As, and yeah, it was just blissful.
Wow.
Beautiful. What an incredible journey you've been on. And yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. And it's amazing how when something happens, I'm so sorry to hear about your dad, that things like that completely shift our lives and give us a different perspective and really create an awakening of sorts. I love Qigong as well. I was introduced to Qigong in Calgary, and it's so funny because I went through this reawakening after finding out burnout and thinking, okay, I need to shift. And I started going and I did like Reiki. I started doing my levels of Reiki, and I started volunteering at one of the cancer centers in Calgary called Wellspring. Absolutely amazing. But what I'd find is that there was a gentleman called Mario who runs the Qigong Calgary, and he was offering lessons, and he did medical Qigong. So with you focusing on the organs, he was really, really good about that. And I used to find that when I'd go to the Qigong sessions, that just shifting the entire energy within my body, activating the healing centers of my body, and then going to do the volunteer work that I used to do on Wednesdays, it just was so much more supportive to the people that were working through it. And it made me feel amazing. So yeah, absolutely. Thank you for bringing this work to Edinburgh, to Scotland, which is absolutely incredible. And it's amazing how I know Qigong's just shifting people's lives, absolutely, which is quite incredible. And it would be awesome to see more groups, even outside practicing Qigong and just joining in. So thank you for bringing that service here.
I would love to do Qigong outside. Just the Scottish weather,
yes,
is an issue, and there aren't many rules about Qigong, but one of the rules is that you never do Qigong when you're cold.
Yeah.
So because if you're cold, then the energies have to sort of go in to sort of protect everything, whereas you're wanting your body to be relaxed, and you're not. You can obviously layer up. We can all have our puffer jackets on and our insulate hats on and things, but it's not quite when you're out in nature, you're just sort of meant to be sort of connected with nature, not bundled up against the elements and doing Qigong.
Absolutely.
So yes, doing it outside, absolutely lovely. Sadly, Scotland's just not maybe the place.
Only during the summer, which is awesome.
It's like twice a year or something. We can do it outside.
Absolutely. I'm going to ask you a question. How did you find switching from very much a corporate career into living your passion?
I think if I hadn't gone through what I've gone through, I probably wouldn't be living my passion. And the corporate career has, I think you can think a lot about life and your purpose and why you're here and the journey that you're on. And I'm a big believer in that there are no mistakes on your journey. And not everything happens for a reason, but there's a lesson in everything that's happening. And so for me, growing up, we didn't have a great deal growing up. Didn't have a great deal of money. I didn't particularly want to go into financial services. I went to law school. I wanted to be a lawyer for Greenpeace or Amnesty International. That was why I went to law school. And I worked for a human rights organization when I first got back from Canada. I got my human rights master's in Canada, came back from Canada and worked for a human rights organization. And this was in the day where there wasn't even minimum wage. There was just very, very little pay. And I just literally couldn't leave home. I couldn't rent my own place. I couldn't do anything because the pay was just so low. And I was very sort of disillusioned because this was my passion and this was what I wanted to do. And I still am very passionate about human rights. And I did a lot of health and human rights work when I was in Atlanta at Emory University. And the pro bono work I did, there was a human rights connection, social justice connection. So that's still a real passion point for me. But I feel that I went into the corporate world basically just to live, to pay bills, to progress in life, for lack of a better word. And so that experience, that journey taught me so much about, thankfully in life, about getting on with people. And I used to run projects, so managing juggling lots of different aspects, and that's probably why it led to burnout in the first place. But the corporate world taught me lots of lessons. And if I hadn't been in the corporate world, I wouldn't have been able to afford to even go to Emory University in Atlanta, because international students get charged way more than national students in American universities. So for me, my corporate life has given me so much, and it's provided me with the finances to go to university and study and to be able to do what I wanted to do. Made lots of great friends and saw a world where there is real pressure on people every single day. So when I'm doing workplace classes, I'm not selling myself, but I go into workplaces and teach meditation and do Qigong sessions. I know exactly what they're going through. I know what it's like to come in and see all the emails and an email from someone and they've copied in your manager, their manager, and their manager, and they sit right opposite you, and you're thinking, oh, you could have come and talked to me. It's kind of like, but now you've got this email trail going on. So I get all of that. I understand all of that. And there's lots of people that, become yoga teachers and Qigong teachers to a lesser extent, straight from school, straight from university. And for me, that real life experience is invaluable. And so I can 100% relate to what people go to when they come into classes, or they talk to me just in general in life. My friends, when they're talking about what's going on, I get that, I understand that. So for me, it's been a way that I can share, because I can come from that experience, because that's lived experience for me too. And also from the NHS was quite stressful as well. It's not just the private sector where there's stress applied. So for me, that's something that I can genuinely relate to. And I'm a big believer in walking the walk and talking the talk. So I don't ever ask anyone to do something that I haven't done or I don't do myself to help someone feel better, get out of their stress mode. Little things you can do at your desk, little things you can do in the car, going into work in the morning, or if you're on the bus. Those are all things I've done myself, because I've read so much, I've studied so much, not even just when I've got my own business. Before all that, I was devouring books, all the Deepak Chopra books, you know, all the books about health and nutrition. I was a vegetarian. My adrenal burnout was partly caused by not getting enough protein in my system. My body went into a catabolic state. So my body was eating into my muscle to get the protein that I needed. So I've read lots about nutrition and looking after yourself and balancing your hormones. Oops, that's Buster coming in to say hello. Hello. So for me, going into financial services has just been a positive, and I try not to think about anything in my life not being a positive, and it's just part of the journey. Right, you're going to go and get your breakfast. Right, go. Thank you.
Thank you for
That's so sweet.
Thank you for sharing, Suzi. And you bring back a lot of vivid memories. Well, not just me when I left my corporate job at Amazon, but I did also spend almost 6 years in financial services. And I was really intrigued by the challenge you have, and also, yeah, sorry to hear about your father passing. And it's so beautiful that you've been able to like grow through that experience. I was really interested in what you were saying about not enough time to meditate, and I had, in fact, I last heard it on Sunday night from a client, and my experience was almost like I knew something back in 2017 when I started meditating each day. I knew something needed to change, but I didn't know what it was really. I didn't really know what opportunities meditation would unlock. I was totally unaware that it would completely revolutionize my life, or create catalysts that did. And some of the techniques I found for time management were, well, I started getting up at 5 a.m. I'd do my morning run, I'd come back, and then I'd meditate. And it felt like, and yes, there was a P in somewhere in between. And what I found was that just 5 to 10 minutes, like shockingly, is transformational.
Yes.
And that if anything, the number of minutes didn't seem as important as keeping going every day and allowing yourself to what's the word, like surrender to the journey of the human mind, and closely followed by the question of, well, how do I fit this in? It's like, well, what do I do with my well, I have a busy mind. Like my mind, I mean, what was I thinking of today? I can't remember. I was thinking about the event I ran on Sunday night. And I was asking my mind, I was like, why is this important? It's like, I don't know, just thinking about it. It's like, okay, we'll just let you go. Thank you for visiting.
The egoic mind, yes.
So yeah, I was really interested in both your experiences yourself and some of the techniques that you like teach as well to help people explore meditation and in bringing it into their regular practice.
So David G's got this great thing, and I could have easily passed this off as my own, but I'm not. David G talks about making meditation like brushing your teeth. So we brush our teeth every day, twice a day, no matter what. No matter what's going on, we brush our teeth twice a day. We don't just brush our teeth the day before we go to see the dentist. So we don't just meditate the day before something's happening, or we meditate on the day something's happening that we want to try and calm ourselves down. We meditate every day. We brush our teeth every day. And brushing our teeth isn't really the most exciting thing we do every day. There's not, it's nice having that nice squeaky clean in your teeth, but it's not the most joyful experience every day. But we do it because we know it's good for our health. And so for me, I say that every single time when someone comes to me and says, oh, I don't have time to do meditation. And I say, it's 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the afternoon. Think about how much time you spend on Facebook. Think about how much time you spend on Instagram. Think about how much time you just, doom scrolling, watching the news. Stop watching the news. I tell everyone, do not watch the news. If something big is happening, you'll find out about it. I'm pretty sure you'd have found out about COVID, even if you weren't watching the news. When big things happen that influence you, you hear them. But you don't need to be watching the news, because the news is just the worst thing, particularly in the morning. If you're watching the news in the morning, stop. And it's just, do not watch the news in the morning. all the scientific research, you know this, John, all the scientific research shows that if you start the morning with meditation away from the news, and even if you don't want to sit in silence, you can just put on some classical music or some music that resonates with you without lyrics, because you end up just singing along to the lyrics. But if you just even put music on, or 432 hertz, 528 hertz, put that on for 5 minutes. If the silence is really, you know, disconcerting to you to begin with, just put that on, set the timer for 5 minutes and sit. Focus on your breath, listen to the music, have your earbuds in. That's all that you've got going on in your mind, is listening to this 432 or 528 or any of the main hertz frequencies. That to me is what I say all the time. And I say, if you can breathe, you can meditate. Lots of people say, oh, I just can't meditate. I would like to, I just can't. And people quite often, and you know, we're all guilty of this. It's kind of like New Year's resolution. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to sign up for class, and the class is 30 minutes. And you sit, and lots of people can't sit for 30 minutes. And even when I'm teaching a class, I would rarely have people meditate for 30 minutes, because that's a long time to be sitting, and it becomes uncomfortable, and people get disillusioned, distracted, uncomfortable, and they don't want to come back, because why would you do something that's uncomfortable? So you're always wanting to be comfortable, and you're always going to be building up time. So if you start 5 minutes morning, 5 minutes afternoon, then you might want to get to 7 minutes, then you might want to get to 10 minutes. And after 20 minutes, you know, if you're on a retreat, if you're on a silent retreat, if you're doing some sort of big thing, that's fine. But on a day-to-day basis, you don't really need more than 20 minutes. I think all the evidence points to 12 minutes being the tipping point. So as long as you're getting that, you're building up towards that 12 minutes, that's where the real sort of magic happens from a neuroplasticity and neurogenesis perspective. It's about figuring out what other things in your life is taking up the time. So if you stop watching the news and you don't pick up your phone, even me hitting stop rather than snooze, you don't pick up your phone until you've meditated, your day is going to be way better. The neural research shows that your trajectory just sort of goes up, as opposed to, and even people that have terrible things happen, they're in a car crash or they get some bad news, if they've meditated in the morning, their body is coping with it, their brain is coping with it way better, rather than being on this roller coaster, which you quite often are. Getting up, putting the news on, hearing doom and gloom, running late for work, jumping into work, whereas if you just take those couple of minutes and start the day, your day is way better every single day. So for me, the toothbrush, the brushing the teeth analogy works every single time, because brushing your teeth isn't that fun, but you do it anyway. And it's a practice. Meditation is a practice. So some days you don't want to do it, but you still do it. Some days you wake up for meditation, or you sit up, or you open up your eyes for meditation, you're just like, wow, that was brilliant. And other times you're just like, but you're still doing it. So for me, the consistency is way more important. If you're doing 5 minutes every day, way better than going to class and doing an hour, at the weekend, and then feeling uncomfortable and thinking, oh gosh, why am I doing this? And then falling asleep and then waking back up again. One of the guys who I trained with used to say, he was telling people that he's becoming a meditation teacher, and all of his chums said, oh, it's a posh nap, is what they used to say, because posh, it was just a nap, regular people don't meditate, only posh people meditate, and it's a posh nap. So yes, I'm very much about consistency. And if you never get past 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the afternoon, that's okay. You're still bringing in so much benefit into your mental, physical, and emotional health, and you're going to see a change in your life. And if you never get to 10 minutes, 15 minutes, it's okay. Doing it every day is what matters.
That's some great advice. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. And that brushing the teeth analogy is absolutely brilliant. Absolutely. Because it's necessity, right?
Yes.
It's absolutely beautiful. What are your thoughts on guided meditation?
Oh, I think guided meditation is so helpful. If you are not, I think everyone if you can get to a guided meditation class, if you can learn to meditate. For me, lots of people get apps and they're not familiar with meditating. They put on a 30-minute meditation on their app and they never go back to their app. They do it once or twice and then they're just like, oh, well, that was a waste of money. Or and lots of companies, for their mental health well-being perspective, give either free apps or discounted apps, and that's their mental health wellness check, because they're giving their staff meditation apps. Guided meditations are so helpful. If you've got a good teacher and you resonate with the voice of the teacher, getting someone set up in a comfortable place, getting their body in a good position, guiding them either through a visualization or a sensation or a mantra, really, really effective, really, really powerful. And a teacher hopefully will notice if someone's falling asleep, or if you see the head starting to roll, or there's some snoring. And if you're guided, then they come in at that point in time. They come in to then make sure the person doesn't fall asleep. Or so you're building up the space, building up the silences, the silent gaps in between the narration of the instructor, of the meditation guide. But I think guided meditations are so helpful and so powerful as a way to learn how to meditate and to learn how to get your body in the right position. I'm not into meditation dogma. I'm not into you must sit in this position, you must have this mudra, you must do it at this time of the day. I believe if a meditation teacher says that, don't go back to that meditation teacher.
Find a new one.
That's not the way it's meant to be. And there are teachers out there that do that. But for me, it's about being comfortable. It's about making an environment that you're going to want to come back to. So having the same chair in your home, or the same corner in your home. If you've got a little meditation cushion, then you want to sit on that meditation cushion in the same corner at the same time. So you want to try and ritualize it, so it becomes part of, just like brushing your teeth, just like having a shower, just like putting the kettle on and making your cup of tea. It's something you do. But if you can get to a class, if you can get to a teacher, and there's lots and lots of people that are doing meditation classes and teaching meditation that have no qualifications, no certifications. They're passionate about meditation, and try and find someone who is qualified, try and find someone who is certified, and try different teachers, try different voices. Bless you. And find something that works for you. Everyone resonates with a different voice, a different style, a different mannerism. But find something that resonates with you and stick with it. And if you can get to a guided class once a week, or on a sort of, it doesn't have to be every day. Every day is a lot, unless you're using an app and you're comfortable with an app. But if you're going to a guided class on a regular basis, you then start learning, you start picking up things, you start incorporating that into your own practice. So if you are sitting for 5 minutes in the morning, but you go on a Saturday morning to a guided class, you're going to pick little bits, and you're going to learn more, and you're going to become more familiar with it. And guided classes tend to be a little bit longer than 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the evening. So that gets you to a place where you realize that you can sit for 15 minutes, 20 minutes. You can be comfortable. Your mind will wander, but the meditation teacher or the guide will tell you that it's okay that your mind has wandered, because that's what the mind does. The egoic mind wanders. The egoic mind wants to keep you on alert because it's trying to keep you safe. And it's okay. You just acknowledge that you've had a thought, or you acknowledge that you've been distracted, and then you come back to your breath, you come back into your body, you come back to the mantra, the visualization, you're sitting on a beach and the sun is shining, whatever kind of meditation you're doing, you acknowledge that distraction, then you come back. And so by going to a guided meditation, either in person, real life human being, or something that's recorded, you learn more, you pick up more, which then means on the days that you might not be able to do that, you're bringing that learning with you.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely beautiful. And you're so right about the resonate thing with the voice and the practitioner as well. Because I remember when I first started meditating, I'd be going through YouTube and I'd sometimes spend like 20 minutes going, nope, Nope,
yeah, of
nope,
course, yeah.
maybe 5 minutes in, I'm like, nope, next. And until you find those practitioners that you really resonate with. And I think that is so important in the pace and the energy, because that energy is absolutely in resonance with you, your body, your mind, your own frequency. So I find that absolutely powerful. And yeah, thank you for sharing that. It was a great reminder. And then the other thing that I've recently discovered is the chanting, um, which is incredible, because when I came back to Edinburgh, I was so lucky. I didn't know who Kyle Gray was, and he was offering yoga classes in Glasgow. So I was like, oh, this sounds interesting. I'm going to go. And then eventually a friend of mine was like, oh my goodness, that's Kyle Gray. And I'm like, who's Kyle Gray?
Kyle
And
Gray's
it's
a
like
god. Kyle
he's
Gray's
like
a
written all
god.
these books. And I was like, oh my goodness. But his chanting, his yoga classes, I really started to understand the power of chanting through meditation, and how chanting is quite meditative
Oh,
through
yes.
that. And yeah, absolutely. I love
Mhm.
Kyle Gray, but I also love that aspect of just how those sound vibrations shifted the energy as well within
Definitely.
us. And I found that to be so, so powerful once you get through that shyness of actually chanting with everybody as well. It's incredibly powerful. I absolutely love that. So thank you for mentioning that as well.
No, that's fine. I love Kyle Gray. I'm a big
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Gray fan. We grew up in the same town, so um we're both from the same neck of the woods. And yeah, chanting is really important. I quite often bring humming into my classes, because humming is just so powerful from a health
Mm-hmm.
perspective. Builds up the nitric oxide in the system, and you're also releasing while you're humming. And the first time I talk about humming, I can literally see everyone in the class just going, oh.
But try it. It feels great.
And I'm like, let's just do it. If you don't like it, tell me at the end of the class. And the first time everyone's a wee bit reticent to hum, I'm there. I'm like humming it 5 times the volume. So everyone else is, anyone who's shy can just be like, "Mm." And I'm like, "Mm." But the humming is really good, and the humming's a good kind of segue
Mhm.
into full out chanting, because people do
Mm-hmm.
feel a bit self-conscious, and what if we're not out of time, and if I'm not doing it at the same time, the person next to me does it. But yes, chanting is
Mm-hmm.
incredible. And yeah, David G is always up for a good chant, from a meditation perspective. All holding hands and chanting at the same time can be very therapeutic. But and again, that's very much personal choice.
Yeah,
Sitting down, holding
absolutely.
hands and chanting might just freak the living daylights out of someone, and would never ever come back to that class again. So it's good to try. I always say try different styles of meditation,
Mm-hmm.
and you will
Yeah.
find 4, 5, 6 that resonate with you, and you stick with it. Why would you do something that's not enjoyable? Why would you do something that you're oh, I really got to meditate today? Oh my God,
Yeah.
No, you want to be meditating. Find something that works for you. If the way you're
Mm-hmm.
meditating, or the way your meditation teacher talks or engages isn't for you, don't go to that person. Go to someone else. It's yeah. Don't keep going back if it's making you miserable.
Definitely. And
There's
that
way more. There's
exploration.
way more enough stuff in life that makes you miserable. Don't make meditation
Yeah,
one of
there you
them.
go.
Like,
Add one more thing. And
Love that.
I love that I love like the discussion from both of you about the exploration side. Like it's fun, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's fun to try different
Yeah.
things
yeah,
and
there's
to
no
feel,
downside.
yeah, to feel
Yeah.
people's energy and whether it resonates for you. Just like so many things in our lives, we don't go to restaurants where we don't like the atmosphere or the
Mm-hmm.
music or whatever it is. Like we choose. Um, and also, I'd like to thank you for. I'm busy developing a free app for people. It's the app I always wanted when I started meditating, and I
Right?
must admit, I don't really know why it didn't occur to me, but I didn't do what Natasha did, and at least I never really looked at YouTube. I just thought what I felt was I wanted to develop my own practice, and I didn't really know what it was I wanted, but I knew that when I found people that I resonated with, I'd kind of take bits and pieces of what they did
Yeah.
and start to build my own practice. And I would describe what I do to myself as a self-guided meditation, like a series of kind of visualizations in my head. And yeah, I love make like the om sounds when it feels right for me, and I often feel that's like it's like taking that energy and putting it into action, or into more movement. But yeah, thank you for. I think that's a really beautiful advice. Like bringing, whenever, and this is both to people that create. This message is to people that create these things and also receive them. Is that taking people on a journey and allowing them to see, the energy behind what you're, and the intention about what you're trying to create, and people experience is so powerful.
And
My
something that might not resonate with you today, in 2 years' time, might well resonate with you.
Yeah,
Because
Yeah.
sitting in silence for 5 minutes at the moment might just be like too much.
that's right. Yeah,
Whereas in 2 years' time, you might think, oh, 5 minutes of silence.
yeah. And I was
How
going to ask
blissful
you.
is that?
I know. Who wouldn't want that? Especially when you've got kids. So I was interested, Suzi, in your experiences. You touched on this a bit about. I feel this like both applies to meditation and Qigong and other practices you've explored. How there's this kind of magical effect. You're describing it from like a more scientific perspective, that there's research and studies that show that something magic happens to you when you start your day with a practice like meditation or Qigong, and there's so many others as well. What did you begin to feel like what were the things that you first felt the shift in? And like, where were you? Were you your corporate job, or like what were you doing that you started to see this difference in your feelings and behavior?
Yeah. So for me, it was my crisis meditation practice was sort of clutching at straws, and I bought meditation books, and I would read them, and I would try to incorporate what I learned, with minimal effect. I'm 100% honest with you. And so when I was challenged to do meditation every day, I was just like, oh, that doesn't work. But yes, I wasn't one to not pick up the gauntlet once it had been thrown. So for me, it was when I was living in the States, and it was a corporate job. Despite me making behavior change campaigns and working in the health field, it was a corporate entity that I was working for, and it was billable units, and my day had to be accounted for. Every single minute from when I walked in the door to when I left had to be accounted for and allocated to a client, and that was very stressful. There was no time for lunch break. There was no lunch breaks weren't really, accepted. And it was very corporate America. Corporate America is a whole other level up from corporate UK. And so for me, when I started this 5 minute in the morning, 5 minute in the afternoon, when I came back from work, and those were the days where we actually went out to work and then we came back. So there wasn't, working from home was a real working from home tomorrow. This is amazing. This is so exciting. There wasn't really any working from home. The coming home from work, and David G calls this your mental poop. So it's like you're pooping out the day, you're getting rid of it. For me, the second meditation of the day was a real decompression from work. So I didn't bring the stress of work home, which then feeds into sit down to have dinner with my husband. And so for me, it was wonderful to sort of come home. Traffic in Atlanta is mental. So I've had a crazy 10, 11 hours in the office, another crazy 45, 50 minutes in traffic. And then I come home, and then even just those 5 minutes then meant that my evening sitting down with Jimmy, who was shooting Buster out there, was far more enjoyable, and we argued less, and we didn't, get on each other. So from a very personal perspective, it was hugely important to our relationship, in that it wasn't me just going, and another thing, and then this person said this, and then I got an email from such and such. Can you believe that they sent that email? And he's just going, oh my goodness. Just have dinner for one night, please. So that was huge. And from a morning perspective, it then just helped me cope with things better. I was reacting less. I was able to sort of go, okay, I would not have sent that email. I would not have responded this way, but you have. And now I need to just figure out how I am going to respond, as opposed to this immediate response of get straight on my keyboard and hit reply and reply all and go back. It would be a case of, right, let's just take a moment, let's just step away from the desk, let's go and get a cup of tea, let's go to the bathroom, even if I don't need to go to the bathroom, come back. There was something that was building in to just not necessarily have a knee-jerk reaction. So in the evening, letting work go, not carrying it with me, leaving it, even if it was just in the car, it didn't even need to be in the office, but leaving it in the car before I coming in home. And then from a morning perspective, just not being sort of sucked into the vortex of the sort of maelstrom of, something cataclysmic's happened, we need to go, there's been some issue, we need to respond. Being able to just stop and breathe and not vault right into it, that was huge. To be able to just take a step back and not get sucked up into everything. So that was the real turning point for me professionally in the morning, and then private life, home life in the evening.
Beautiful. It's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm wondering if the evenings, because I don't know if it's just a woman thing, but we tend to regurgitate our day before we go to sleep. So I suppose that dumping that day's work actually allows you to leave it there and improves on sleep quality as well.
Well, it improves your evening. Yeah, because you're allowing yourself to not, even if you're sitting watching TV, if you've had dinner and you're watching whatever TV show you're watching, you're actually able to watch the TV and not still going over everything, because you've sort of parked it, you've got rid of it, and it's going to be there tomorrow when you go back into work. So to be able to dump that, allow yourself a bit of downtime, allow yourself a bit of relaxation time where you're not going over things, and then being able to have a conversation that doesn't necessarily involve bringing things in from work. Very helpful. So yes, I think the second meditation of the day is kind of underrated, I think. And it is really obviously really important to do it in the morning to set your trajectory on a good path. But the second meditation of the day is just like this release, and not taking it into home life, not taking it into your sleep. So yes, that's really important.
Beautiful.
How about the busy mind? We touched on it a little bit earlier. What are your recommended techniques of when something comes up and interrupts your meditation? Like some of mine, my favorites are, I see myself standing by a road or highway, and I see these vehicles coming often from the right with these emotions. They have different colors and sizes, and they're like, some have flashing lights like, John, like, remember this, and others are like, yeah, we're just like here as well. But whenever something tries to get my attention, I always try and make sure I observe it. I'm like, hey, I see you. Like, first of all, I can see you like you're a thing, and I don't just try and ignore you. And I started to pick up over a few months and years that it seemed to also be linked to my self-trust. Like, if I really trust myself, regardless of how bad my memory is, that actually you can just allow it to just go past, like out of view, out of conscious view, and to tell it, when my meditation's done, because it's only 5 or 10 minutes, like, and I'm not that important in the world that can't just wait 5 or 10 minutes.
Yes.
Unless I'm literally on fire, you can wait, and I'll come back to you just after if you're really important, or if you're just trying to get my attention. Yeah. What's worked for you the most, Suzi?
So I think there's two things. One is I like starting meditating when I'm meditating myself, and also when I'm teaching meditation, teaching a meditation class. I very often start, unless the person's quite advanced, by focusing in on your tummy. So if your tummy is expanding on the inhale and contracting back on the exhale, and you're doing that, you know, and if I'm teaching a class, it's longer than 5 minutes. So we can do a few minutes of this tummy expanding and this tummy contracting. That's sending a biological message to your brain that you're safe and you're secure. So lots of people start getting comfy, close your eyes, focusing on your breath, all fab, not dismissing anything. I like starting focusing in on the stomach right off the bat, because getting that tummy relaxed and letting the air coming in, letting the tummy expand, you're working with your actual physiology as well. So you're sending that message to the brain that, you know, you don't need to be alert. There's no tiger chasing after you. You know, if the house is on fire, you're going to sense it, so you can get up and run. But unless it's that, like you said, John, unless it's that important, nothing is really that important. So you can stay in this place for the next 10, 15 minutes and nothing bad's going to happen. So for me, it's part sort of physiology, getting that tummy into that routine of expanding and contracting very early on in the meditation. And then when things do come up, and I always say you acknowledge if something comes up, you simply acknowledge it and not labeling it. That for me is the key thing, to not label it good or bad. We are continually, every single second of the day, it's a yum yuck. Is it yum? Is it yuck? Is it yum? Is it yuck? Am I going to follow the yum? Am I going to avoid the yuck? And we do it, but it's inherent in our mind that will keep us safe, because we obviously want to avoid the yuck. But if we don't label and we simply acknowledge, it's just a thought. It's just a thought. I'm not attaching a yum or a yuck to it. It's simply a thought. And then the visualization, I always say, is just a balloon. So that thing, good or bad or indifferent, goes into a balloon, and the balloon simply goes up and it goes. And then once that balloon is out of your line of internal sight, then you come back. You come back. Is my tummy expanding, contracting? Am I then back into my breath? Am I chanting a mantra? Am I going back to my mantra? Am I in a visualization? Am I sitting next to a tree? Am I leaning? Is my back next to the tree trunk that we're using for this meditation? What are we doing in this meditation? And you come back. So it's just this journey. It's this ebb and flow. So I always say it's an ebb and a flow in every meditation. You're undoubtedly going to get distracted. That's what the mind does. That's what the mind that keeps us safe. That's what it does. But we just want to quieten that part of the mind for the next 10, 15 minutes. And then it can keep us safe for the rest of the day. We can take on board all the stuff that's coming our way for the rest of the day. But for the next 10, 15, 20 minutes, that can just, you know, we're just keeping it over there for just now. And if it creeps in, you acknowledge it, no labeling, let it go, and then come back. And every meditation is an ebb and flow. There's no meditation unless you are in the Dalai Lama's inner sanctum and you're spending most of your day meditating and chanting. Even with a chant, if you're chanting, you're way more likely to not have the things coming into your mind. And that's why mantras are so effective. I love mantra meditation. That's my go-to every single time, is a mantra meditation, because, you know, mantra, mind, mantra, vehicle, it's a vehicle for the mind to keep you focused in on something. And if you're focused in on something, everything else can just go away for the next 10, 15 minutes. So mantras are hands down for me the go-to if anyone is really struggling with a busy mind, because you're focusing in on something else. If you're focusing in on something else, then the busy mind doesn't get the focus. The mantra is getting the focus. So lots of techniques: stomach, no labeling, and going to a mantra type meditation helps keep the mind on the path that we're trying to keep it on while we're meditating.
Fabulous.
Beautifully said. And what about like meditation through movement? I suppose once you're in a Qi Gong practice or a yoga practice where you're moving in, that can be also quite meditative as well.
Yes,
right?
hugely meditative. Yeah, I teach quite sort of seasonal focused classes, and I'm teaching an autumn move at the moment. And there's a guy in one of my classes, and we get into this flow. It's the last flow of the class, so we're in a very good place. And I tend to keep that last flow longer. because we're in the right place to just sink into this move. And honestly, every week, by the end of that flow, it just goes like, because he literally he's just gone someplace. He's just like, oh, and then we all know, we now all sort of acknowledge that he's gone for those few moments that we're doing this particular flow. Yes, I mean, moving once the getting the right setup of a relaxed body, letting the meridians open up with the relaxation, and making that mind-body connection is a wonderful, wonderful way of calming the mind as well. And so you know, doing Qigong in the evening is so wonderful for sleep, because the mind is calm, you're moving the energy around. You don't want to be storing the energy in the mind, you don't want to be storing the energy in the heart, you want to be storing the energy in your body at your lower dantian. So from an evening perspective, well, at the end of any type of class, I would always move the energy down to the lower dantian, clearing the mind and clearing the heart, but especially so in an evening class. So if you're doing Qigong in the evening to help with sleep, you do an evening Qigong class, go and have a bath, herbal tea, go to bed, and you will sleep so soundly. You will be so relaxed. You stay away from devices, you stay away from news, my soapbox about the news. But yes, when you are moving slowly and you are not being distracted by what's going on around outside, it's so wonderful. It's so therapeutic for the body, the mind body as one.
Beautiful.
Wow. And I love in these practices, and I've done Qigong a couple of times. I found what I love about these practices is that you start to discover that there's so much within you. It's almost like you're asking, what's the weather, John, inside? Or what really matters in my life right now? What do I deeply care about? Why am I in this life? And I'm not just a busy fool. And I love that it also like brings me back to looking within rather than looking outside of me for happiness. And yeah, you can complain about the news all the time. I'm exactly the same. I'm like, I'm really conscious about what I consume.
Yeah.
And if it just doesn't feel right to me, I don't care what the, apparent authority is of it. It doesn't work for me. And I will, just like I wouldn't pick up, a guided meditation from a meditation teacher I didn't resonate with. I wouldn't, it's the same with anything I consume on my phone or TV. And I love that, encouraging us to just look back within ourselves, because it brings, those moments I found throughout the day where even in chaos, and you were saying, Susie, oh, just go to the, go to the toilet, restroom, go and take a moment for yourself. It's like it's pulling you back to that meditation feeling. And you're like, I don't know that I really care about this. Like, as I don't need to be so like frantic. I can take a moment, and in that moment, just a reflection for a few seconds, it starts to remind me of that like oasis of calm that I had in my meditation and my movement. Like, oh, okay, what does John really feel about this without just reacting constantly? So yeah, thank you for sharing your journeys.
Yeah, no, so I think unless you're an ER doctor or a paramedic in an ambulance, the vast majority of us have got the ability to just have that moment to stop and not get sucked into things. But that takes training, it takes practice, and you're having to commit to doing that all the time. That's something that you're needing to do every day, and be aware that you're doing it, because everyone's got energy, and there are people that have powerful energy that you're talking to an angry teen about something, and then by the end of that conversation you're feeling a bit disgruntled because they've just been pushing out their teenage anger, and you're sort of taking that on. Or if you're talking to someone who's upset, more often than not you'll be upset by the end of that conversation too, because that energy is going back and forth. And so you need to always be aware of your own energy, your own energetic body. And exactly as you said, John, for me, the diet is not just what you're putting in your body. Your diet is what you're watching on TV. Are you watching the news? Are you watching serial murder, documentaries, what's on your feed. You know, my feed is very much puppy videos and you know, lots of qigong and meditation stuff. I don't really have anything else on my social media feed, and I'm very happy being in that little bubble. I'm very happy not taking in anything else, and my TV watching more often than not is, you know, feel good TV. I don't want to watch something where people are getting bits sawed off or, you know, violence. I don't want to watch that. I don't want to consume that, because that's impacting me as I'm watching it.
Yeah.
I will, you know, I will watch Friends for the millionth time because it makes me laugh, rather than watch something else. And our diet is all about, and also just what's in our home and how we have our home set up and what we look at. And I love color. I love bright color. You can see all these. I've got other sparkly cushions over there. I've got sparkly cushions over here. You know, the small things in your world really impact you more than you can think. So
Yeah.
it's all about having little bits every day. If you can only do a short meditation, that's fine. Do the meditation. Get some plants, get some sparkly cushions. You know, make your environment more aesthetically pleasing. Stop watching horrible stuff on the news. I'm a big believer in having nice mugs, and I want to drink my tea out of something that looks pretty and feels good. And they're just small things. It's not epic things that cost a lot of money. You can do a lot of these things with you know, it's not expensive stuff.
Absolutely.
Absolutely,
So before I take us into a mindfulness meditation, which I feel the bar has raised significantly during this conversation.
No pressure.
Oh, I'm looking forward to this, John.
I'm
Yeah,
like,
no
I'm
pressure,
glad it
John.
wasn't my turn.
Yeah, before we do, because in part my incredibly monotone and sleepy voice, which I found out is good for meditation, especially before bed. But before I
Don't do the self-deprecating thing, John. It's not good.
It's a celebration. So before I take us into meditation, Suzi, how do people connect with you and your offerings?
Sure, yes. Well, my business is called Burning Brightly. And I'm a big believer in that. People think meditation is, you know, the posh nap. And Qigong is, you know, you're moving slow and it's just like, oh. Whereas I'm a big believer that if you meditate and you practice Qigong, your life gets better. And so you can burn brightly. So Burning Brightly is the name of my business. My website is burning-brightly.co.uk. And on that website, there's information about what Qigong is, what meditation is, a little bit more about me. And then I have a page which has got class timetable. And I'm a big believer in in-person classes. I'm a big believer in getting people out of the house and engaging with other real life human beings. So I don't really do a lot of Zoom offerings. I do when it's snowy and we can't get out. But on the whole, I do in-person classes. I think it's also safer to do in-person classes. You can see the people way better in a class, help them make sure they're moving the right way. So I do classes in Mid Lothian and East Lothian, and I do regular, for lack of a better word, Qigong classes. I do classes for seniors that are supported by East Lothian Council. I do one-to-ones and I do monthly menopause classes as well. So that's just all about bringing the body into balance, cultivating yin energy. The yin energy drops as the body goes through menopause. So we're trying to boost the yin energy to let the yang energy come down, because the yang energy takes over, and that yang energy is our hot flushes and our sleepless nights and our irritability and everything else that goes, all the other things that go with menopause. So that's my offering. And yes, any questions, any comments, you can there's a little click on the website, you can send me an email. It's just inquiries@burning-brightly.co.uk. So yes, that's how you get in contact with me, and I teach at a number of different venues across the area.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
And I did have the pleasure of witnessing through a window, I think, a class you were
Through the
running
window, yes, you're the other side of the
Saturday.
door, but you didn't
That's right.
see the class, you just went parking.
That's right. And I remember a lot of really beautiful, there was a lot of beautiful discussion like during it, people are asking like, what is that? And you say, well, you know, like yoga, but it's not really yoga. And like, look what they're doing. Like, I know it's easy to mistake it, but it's much gentler.
Yes.
And they're working more with energy. And then
Way
I
more
remember,
accessible. There's no mat work. You're
yeah,
doing it standing up. You're not going up and down on the floor. And there's no kind of bottom in the air stuff that you might be worried about. And there's no pretzel shapes to get into. It's way more accessible for a lot of
and I
people.
love those that came out were definitely singing the praises. So
That's very
so
kind.
keep up your fantastic work.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, I'll stop putting off a mindfulness meditation.
I'm looking forward to this, John. You got to wow me.
Okay, so we shall begin. And I'd like, first of all, for you to join me in taking 3 deep breaths. And we'll begin by taking a deep breath in through the nose, nice and deep. Right into your tummy, and then breathe out nice and loud. And breathe in through the nose once more, nice and deep. And breathe out any low vibration, energy, or emotion, nice and loud. And again, breathe in through the nose, nice and deep. And breathe out any fear, shame, anxiety, or stress, nice and loud. And continue to breathe as deeply and as calmly as feels right for you. And I'd like to take you on a little journey with me. And that journey first starts with connecting with our bodies, bringing your awareness to your heart at this time as it gently beats in this calm, safe space. You may choose to put a hand on your heart or just to listen to that feeling of your heart within your body. And to let your heart know that you're safe and that you're calm. And that by the end of this meditation, you'll feel even more connected and more aware to every aspect of your body. Bring awareness to where you're sat or laying down at this time. How the seat or the bed or the floor, wherever you are, is holding you. How the whole planet is here holding you right now in this moment, in this safe space. And we'd also like to bring our awareness up from our hearts up towards and into our brains. And imagine yourself just looking outside of your brain, your busy mind for a moment. And beginning to let go of all the things that happened before we started this meditation and all of the things that may happen or may not happen after this meditation. And focusing now on only the thoughts that seem to be coming and going. And we bring this important message to both our heart and our mind that we are very much human and that we love to think and we love to feel. And we simply allow at this time. And we let go of any of these feelings, any of these thoughts that come up that try to distract us and try to take us away from this moment. And perhaps you see yourself standing by a roadside or standing by a riverside, and you're just allowing these thoughts and feelings to rise up each breath. And to release them and let them go past you down the river or down the road as you breathe out. And throughout the remaining minutes of this meditation, I encourage you to repeat this whenever you feel distracted. Allow yourself to observe, perhaps even briefly feel or witness feeling or thought. To simply let it go and to trust your heart and to trust your mind that when we complete the meditation, if they're important, they will come back to you. And they will come back in a calm and responsible manner to be considered by you. Now, I'd like you to join me on a little journey into what happens tomorrow. And this journey, I'd like you to suspend belief about what is going on in your life at this time. We're going to create an extra day. This extra day is an empty day, a blank canvas. And it starts tomorrow. It starts first thing after you wake up. And imagine yourself waking up in the morning. And despite what your routine is, in this extra day, you have the opportunity to make it a perfect day. And so perhaps you wake up, maybe you go to the toilet, maybe you drink a little bit of water, maybe you even catch yourself in the mirror and send yourself a little bit of love each morning. And then after you've awoken, either sitting in bed or finding a safe space in your home or where you're staying, you step into this meditation practice. And you begin with the breathing and connection into your body and into your tummy. You perhaps have a little bit of gentle stretching as you start. And as you begin this guided meditation, you allow yourself to surrender to the moment, just as you are now. And you begin to realize that as you look inside of you, that whole world, that whole day around you, outside of you, is clearing and emptying and becoming a canvas, a beautiful canvas upon which you get to decide with your heart and your mind what you paint, what you create that day. And that you only choose what's important to you. And as you progress through your meditation and your practice and you come to an end, perhaps you'll join me by taking a beautiful moment where you just gently hum to yourself towards the end of the meditation, allowing yourself to feel the vibrations through your body, perhaps even using the humming noise to locate areas of your body that would like awareness, like some attention, and also to your mind, to the thoughts that travel through you. And if you choose to, you can join me now. It is totally optional. As we hum and allow our whole body to vibrate. And as you hum, your whole being, all your nervous system, your meridians and every part of you relaxes and feels this light traveling throughout your body, resonating out from your heart, your throat, and your mind, and bringing yourself together as one complex yet simply focused feeling and thinking being. And as you finish that meditation, just as shortly we will finish ours, I'd like you to set the intention in the day ahead of you that you've created to focus on What really matters for you to complete today? What is really important to your heart and to your mind, to the sense of purpose that you have in the day and in your life? And I want you to know that there's always this safe space to come back to, because you will always have this beautiful opportunity in your experience in this life to experience days where there's always enough time, more than enough time, for all the things that are important to you. And when you're ready, allow yourself to see, both for today and across tomorrow and many days ahead of you, that this meditation practice can always bring you back to your body, back to your mind, and back to your breath, in this calm and relaxing safe space, knowing that you're safe and that you deserve this time to relax and to connect with your body and to look within and to find out what truly matters to you. And when you're ready, just as we saw in our meditation tomorrow morning, we see in this now present moment, bring yourself back to your body where you're sitting or laying. Bring yourself back to your breath, back to your mind, holding that deep sense of calm for as long as you choose to. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and gently move if you choose. And so it is.
Thank you, Jon.
Thank you so much. That was a lot of fun. So that concludes our podcast today. Thank you so much to Suzi and Natasha. It's been an honor having you on, and look forward to sharing you with the world. And I'll be including your links in the description of this. Will be available on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, Apple, many other places. I can't remember all the places it goes
all
to.
the places you can get your podcast.
Yeah. Just search for Mindful Leadership, and I'm sure if you search for Suzi Burns, you'll also find the episodes. So excited to share you, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I will stop our podcast recording at that. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care.
Thank you, Jon. Thank you, Suzi. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.